one or the other. There's so many things. William, very good morning to you, by the way.
Morning.
I wrote this piece in the Telegraph, and a lot of the comments underneath were saying, but you didn't mention, you know, the EU, and you didn't mention the betrayal and the fishermen. You didn't mention the Chagos betrayal. You know, there's so many things that you do if you're writing about or talking about the year of Keir Starmer, the first 12 months. I mean, it's been horrendous, isn't it?
Horrendous, yeah. It's the worst, easily the worst start to any government in living memory, probably in history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's astonishing. And as you say, you make a list of their achievements, it's extremely small. I'm really struggling to think of anything they've done to the benefit of the country.
Right.
And so much damage, so much damage. So
Graham Stringer's only thing that you could really say was good, because he said there's been some good things, and I was like, well, what are they then? Buses, apparently. They're going to bring some more buses to the north of England. But again, it's something they say they're going to do, but they haven't done it, because they specialise, this government, in announcing that we're going to do this, and then they don't do it. No,
they're not really poor on delivery, and so the instinct is... And I think this goes right to the nature of what Starmer is, right? So Starmer is a lawyer. He's interested in law and regulation, so he's regulated by sort of instinct. Ask them to do anything, to build anything concrete in the real world, they're really struggling. So on the all
innovation isn't his thing, is it?
No, and very poor on business. So how do you build? How do you get the housing sector sorted? They have no idea. I mean, they have no idea. All they can do is tax and regulate, tax and regulate. So actually, housing completions in the first quarter are actually down from even previous years.
And the housing market generally is down because of the stamp duty rise.
It is.
You know, a lot of people that I've spoken to who were thinking about either moving house or either downsizing or going up one, are just not doing it because again, we don't want to pay the stamp duty.
And they're specialists in taxation. And so, but I think I mean, you could. You're quite right, mate. You could talk about the betrayal on Chagos, which is absolutely astonishing. You know, the fishermen sail down the river, all the rest of it. You can say all these things, but I think the biggest single macroeconomic problem we have is you have a chancellor with no real commercial experience and lied on a CV. And from the start crashed confidence. And if you crash confidence, it's a real. You know, I would have wanted to give them credit for the country's sake. They get a new government. The Tories were shockingly bad. New government in, and what you've got to do is get a bit of confidence going, and things can change and it can be better. What did they do? Fiscal black hole, doom and gloom, terrible, going to have to tax you.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
All this stuff. And they just don't understand that people won't invest in the real world. People running businesses think, well, is it going to get better? Not if they say it's
because they think investment is about getting public money, i.e. taxpayers' money, and giving it to somebody else. They think that's investment, which it isn't.
And their instincts, there's about 3 of them have some commercial experience in the entire cabinet. And I think it's a major issue. They don't have any experience in that. And their instinct always is, as I say, to regulate and tax. Delivery is not a
no, it's not. And I mean, I think the economy is really in for a very, very difficult time over the course of the next sort of 2 or 3 months because, again, you get these little stories. And we had AstraZeneca the other day talking about leaving the country, effectively like checking out, not just physically, but also from the stock market here and everything. We've got Legal & General warning basically that they don't any longer trust Labour on fiscal policy, and they basically said the markets can't trust that what's been put forward will be put in place, and you will see an adverse reaction. It was quite a big one this week, but it could be worse in weeks to come.
Well, it's like a sort of a death spiral, actually, what's happening fiscally, and you've got a childish series of backbenchers in Labour, innumerate children that don't grasp the fact that you can't just keep on. The welfare bill can't considerably go up constantly. You can't have 3,000 approvals for PIPs a day. You know, this is crazy.
And you can't have more people on benefits than you have paying tax.
No, you can't.
You know, it just doesn't add up.
No, the tax
literally
the tax base won't stand it. And at every single turn, it's like the tax grab on NI and all the rest of it, which is a jobs tax. That filters through, things get worse. And what do they think? She's going to break her own fiscal rules. So what do you do? 5 or 6 new tax rises later on this year. Makes it all worse. Every single time it makes it worse. Quite incompetent. And, you know, the crying thing, you know, the gilt rate spiked. It's settled down a wee bit. But, you know, I mean, come on.
I mean, some people are writing this morning that, you know, it's all stabilised because, you know, Keir Starmer has basically indicated that she's not going anywhere, as if that's some kind of a good piece of good news. Well, it isn't really, because I don't think anyone wants to see a woman like Rachel Reeves behaving in the way that she's behaved. You know, how can you become so distraught one day and then happy as Larry yesterday without people saying, well, that's not normal, I'm afraid?
Well, yeah, but what should be normal is to sift and select people properly in the first place. And actually, anyone looking at Rachel Reeves's history at the Bank of England and when she went up to Leeds would have a look at it and say she's not fit to be Chancellor. You're not fit to be Chancellor if you've lied on your CV anyway. But Starmer what a friend said, it was strategically incurious of him not to bother to.
Yeah.
And he knew about that.
Right.
You know, it's like Watergate, isn't it? What did you know? When did you know it?
When did you know it? Yeah. Because for him, for somebody, this is what the kind of paradox is about him. Because despite the fact that, as you quite correctly say, he's a lawyer, he loves regulation, he loves to be able to sort of prove something by law, even if it's demonstrably not true. You know, like he was quite happy to say that a woman could have a penis until the Supreme Court said that she couldn't.
Weather vane.
Right? And then suddenly he went, oh, right, okay, so now a woman is I know what a woman is because I've been told by the Supreme Court, it's written down, it's a law, you know. But he's quite happy to lie. He's quite happy to be very economical with the truth, and he's very happy to overlook things that people do that would otherwise lead him to sack them.
Their modus operandi, the way that he works, is actually to gaslight the public. And I've written about it. It's like a Soviet system.
Yeah.
He knows that what he's saying is not true.
Right.
The public know it's not true, but he insists on sort of gaslighting and going ahead with it. But
he keeps talking about how they've turned the economy around when they manifestly haven't.
No.
He keeps talking about, you know, how they're you know, tackling the border issues, and you know, he's given up saying smashing the gangs, but he still says we're tackling it.
But they're not. That also gets, I've mentioned the tax and regulation, but the other instinct that this class has of politicians is to govern by slogan and comms. So that's what he thinks. That's what it's about.
Right.
The Tories had stop the boats. He has smashed the gangs.
Right.
Some 20-year-old somewhere said that's what we need. Let's have a slogan. Smash the gangs.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, the arrivals have gone up. I could have told him that would happen unless you changed. He's their best partner.
Right. Absolutely right. I mean, you charge him with being complicit in the smuggling of people, people trafficking, because it's because of him. I mean, now what we're hearing, and this I'm sure is being broadcast back to all parts of Europe where these people are coming from, that if they don't put you up in a hotel, don't worry, they'll give you a house. You know, that's the next thing. We're going to have HMOs all over the country.
It's a great deal.
People, young men of fighting age moving into your street. Very near you very soon.
And they've tried to suppress the crime figures for years, and that's coming out. And the public will find more out on social media actually, and through FRI requests than they will from a government like this. No, it's a shambles. I don't, literally don't know where to start.
Well, today we find out that the Home Office doesn't even know where the people are who come to the country legally, who then overstay their visa and probably remain here for an awful lot of the time. I know we did a story a couple of weeks ago about how many of them actually then decide they want to claim asylum, and they don't want to go back to their home country, and they're now being put up in the hotels. And so it's not just the illegal migrants that are doing it; it's the ones who are coming here legally.
And the public should know the scale of this. So on those figures, it was a select committee in Parliament, wasn't it, that got the figures out. And there's about roughly 1.2 million people coming in on the skills, not very high skills, but skills visa route. And about 500,000 dependents. And they come in and they count them in. They don't count them out.
They don't count them out.
And they're scrabbling around, Mike, trying to look at manifests for airlines and check the numbers off because the Home Office can't do its job. Right. A sensible state. Go to a sensible, well-run state like Singapore. They know how many, they can check you in and they can check you out. And they know if you're there and they know if you're not there. We have no idea. In fact, it's the same with illegal migration in general. The best estimates to how many illegals there are in this city that we're speaking from is Thames Water. They can tell how many people or food, or how much food is consumed. They know.
Well,
and it's rough.
the reason that also this is important is because the net migration figure that we get given every year is based on, in part, how many people have left the country.
Yes.
And if they don't know where these people are, then how do they know?
But they don't know it's the same people.
No, exactly.
No, it's really. I mean, I would say just basics.
So I'm saying the net migration figure might be much higher actually than we think. Then
could easily be. No, it probably is.
Probably by 500,000 a year.
And they have no idea. And it's total indifference. Now you look at the Home Office budget and you think, what are you paid for if you're not even doing basic data collection like this, knowing who's in the place and knowing who's not?
I know.
They don't want to.
It is absolutely extraordinary. We're out of time though, unfortunately. Thank you very much indeed. William Clouston from the SDP, very sensible man.